This is Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, brought to you by the Iowa Soybean Association, your source for the latest Iowa ag news headlines right here in the heart of the heartland. With reports from our award-winning team of Dustin Hoffman, Riley Smith, Mark Magnuson, and Andy Peterson. Now, from the IARN studios in Des Moines, here's Mark.
Hello and welcome into Ag Matters PM on the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Mark Magnuson. Today is Monday, August 4th, 2025, and we're so glad you can join us for today's show. In today's episode, I will be joined by Kaden Sweeney of agmarket.net for our closing markets. But first, it is the visit to Linn County that I took earlier this summer. Chance for some water testing at Jim O'Connell's farm in Linn County, as we were joined by Evan Brehm of the Iowa Soybean Association.
Earlier this summer, I had the chance to visit Jim O'Connell's farm in Linn County. While I was there, I was able to follow around Evan Brehm of the Iowa Soybean Association, a conservation agronomist, as he collected some samples for water testing.
Today we are at O'Connell Farms here in Linn County, just outside of Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Today we are doing an example of what we do for water monitoring at the Iowa Soybean Association. So I will be taking a sample of the water right behind me, this tile line, leaving a row crop field that is long-term no-till strip till, as well as cover crops. So what I'm doing here is I will be measuring our flow of water and how it relates to our pounds of nitrates lost per day. So we do this statewide through the Iowa Soybean Association on various practices. And what's really unique here is this tile line is draining row crop fields, but is going into a constructed wetland. So I'm gonna walk over to the tile line, take my sample, stop my time watch, and I'll be able to configure our amounts of nitrates lost after we send them to the lab in Ankeny. Yeah, so this tile line is leaving row crop acres, so we're kind of getting a lot of things from this tile line itself. We're seeing what's leaving from a no-till strip till cover crop field with fall applied anhydrous, so that's beneficial to us. And then what we'll do at our next site, on the chamber box, as it's been gone through the wetland and basically treated, reducing nitrates. So we're gaining knowledge from in-field practices on this tile line, and then here in a little bit when we take a sample as it's leaving the wetland, we get information on what the wetland itself is doing to reduce nitrates. So here's the tile line leaving the field. Like I said, we have some nice clearance here between the bottom and the top. So going from site to site, I'll just take my bucket, just kind of do a little rinse out, just make sure we don't have anything from our previous site that was also water. And then I'll take my bucket and I will stick it underneath here. I'm just gonna stop it and pull it out. Really no engineering behind that, but really what I'm looking at, I'll see my time. So I got 1.69 and I have about 1550 milliliters. So those will be the two very important numbers that I'll write down, and then we'll send it to the lab in Ankeny, and then that will give us our daily loss of nitrate from this field. So the stopwatch gives us the actual time and water flow, and based on our amount of volume, and there's an equation which helps us determine how much nitrate is actually leaving the field. But we send that in lab to the basement in Ankeny, and we configure all that, and then within a couple weeks we'll be able to give that report to the farmer. A wetland, really, it's really amazing. You look around, it's an ecosystem. It's kind of a community out here. So wetlands are really helping the entire community. I mean, it's taking water flow from a field, and we already have a field that's long-term no-till cover crop, so we already have a lot of reduction of nitrates already, regardless, and on top of that, it's also stabilized nitrogen, so very good infield practices. But the wetland will actually treat this water leaving this field, but this drains about 175 acres, and there's two other outlets or inlets coming into this wetland, so we have a lot of water coming in this area, but as it comes through, it's treated. And what's really unique about wetlands, they're up to 90% reduction of nitrates. And this wetland specifically spills into a smaller creek that goes into the Cedar River, which is drinking water for the city of Cedar Rapids. So, it's really a community effort with a wetland of really what it's accomplishing. This is an ideal testing spot because it's easy for me to get to. It's right off a road, but and then we have tile lines coming in, but working with the city of Cedar Rapids and the partnership that we have there and their support for farmers and the ag community, it's really a win-win. We've had a lot of tour groups out here with the city, council people have come out here. it's, they're really interested in what farmers are doing as far as practices, so in field, but also edge of field, to show them that we're reducing nitrates to drinking water. So now we're going to look at the outlet portion from the wetland. So we sampled the water leaving a row crop field, long-term no-till, strip-till cover crop coming into the wetland. And so the other significant part of this water testing process, now we are just measuring the water as it has basically gone through and been treated through the wetland through a very natural process. So I have my fancy tool here, but it works really well. Have a rope tied on the end. I can just drop it down in there, and basically I'm just collecting just enough water to get a sample of the water as it's been treated.
O'Connell says the hard data as a result of the water testing is a confirmation of all of the hard work he has put into adapting conservation practices.
Yeah, definitely. It's kind of nice to see what happens, the final results after it's taken a while to get stuff put in. The wetland, I think we got it in 2021. We went a year and a half without just a little puddle out in the middle of it because we didn't have rain. So this is I enjoy coming down here and watching everything, and then now the results are coming out of it and how it's lowering nitrate levels drastically. So it's a great educational tool. Our fields means we have cover crop on everything, and we've done it for 15 years. It's nitrates coming off of our fields are pretty low anyway, but then dropping it from where we were to the level they are now, which is almost nothing, is incredible.
Jim O'Connell says he will continue to adopt conservation practices on his farm and hopes to be a farmer leader.
We all want clean water, so why not me? Why not start? Everybody said, well, somebody else can do it and stuff. So I figured, well, my dad was kind of innovative in starting things, so I figured I might as well try to do something, and hopefully my kids can take on that legacy and keep moving forward. And I want to try. We're in such a great spot just west of Cedar Rapids to help. I want to try to help Cedar Rapids, and they've been great working with us too. And so I think a partnership with the city and farms is a big thing to help us continue moving forward.
Thank you to Evan Brehm and Jim O'Connell for joining today's show. It is time now for the closing markets. I will be joined by Kaden Sweeney of agmarket.net next. But first, a word from our sponsor, the Iowa Soybean Association and the Soybean Checkoff.
Iowa Soybean Association is driven to deliver for Iowa's 40,000 soybean farmers. We're proud to provide objective agronomic research, a helping hand with soil and water stewardship, and timely industry news powered by the Soybean Checkoff. Learn more at iasoybeans.com.
Time now for closing markets on Ag Matters PM, and I'm joined now by Kaden Sweeney of agmarket.net. Kaden, out in the field a little bit here today. What are you up to today, and then how did we trade in the grains?
I am. I'm out in it today, just hauling a little bit of lime here. We're about a month out from harvest, so trying to get kind of all those projects wrapped up ahead of, combines rolling and whatnot. So out here just hitting in a bean field currently. But yeah, it was somewhat of a quiet day today, really, overall. Corn closing down about 4 cents, beans actually up a nickel, and wheat pretty quiet overall. But I don't know, just wasn't a lot of buzz coming out of the Sunday night open. And really, I feel like that carried somewhat into Monday today. Just fairly lackluster market, really waiting for next week's WASDE before seems like we have any real firepower coming back.
So, Kaden, is that kind of where your thought process is right now, that frankly, there's just so much bearish news that is playing into the ag marketplace that we're looking for that next run of positive news, and maybe that could come in the form of the WASDE report?
Yeah, that WASDE report coming next week is usually when USDA gives us a first look at corn yield changes. So that's what the market's going to be watching really closely is how high, if at all, the USDA adjust yield higher on corn. And, it feels like most likely they're going to, but that remains to be seen a bit. And on the bean side, we're probably not going to see any yield changes yet. As we know, August is usually a pretty critical time for beans. So we're just getting into that. I think that's why you're seeing a bit more bean movement in the market right now, just because we're still watching those forecasts fairly closely. So, again, WASDE side next week, I think you're probably looking for more of a corn story than beans.
On the livestock side of the markets today, was there more activity? What did we see out of the cattle and hogs?
Yeah, I would consider it somewhat quiet as well, although we are green on all three of them. We got live cattle up about 70 cents, 75 cents feeders up 50 cents, and hogs actually the winner here, up 80 cents on the day. But we went down at the end of last week and closed the gap that we had from from the weekend before, after that cattle on feed report was somewhat bullish, and starting to claw that back. I'm gonna be honest, I still don't really see any reason for this cattle market to fall apart. It still feels pretty strong, but oftentimes you don't before these markets like this want to fall out of bed. It just kind of happens when nobody's expecting it. So they feel good right now. Don't really see any large reason for any concern, but sometimes that is a reason to be concerned.
He is Kaden Sweeney of agmarket.net. Check out agmarket.net to get in touch and for all of the resources and information available from the team. Kaden, thanks so much for the time. Always appreciate it. We'll speak again soon.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you guys. Thanks.
Thank you to Kaden Sweeney of agmarket.net for joining today's show. Let's take a look at how the numbers finished today in the ag marketplace. You can find that information anytime under the markets tab of our website at iowaagnet.com.
September corn closes down 2.5 at $3.87 even. September soybeans up 5 3/4 at $9.75 1/4. September soybean meal up 6.10 at $2.77 even. September soybean oil down 8 cents at $54.40. Chicago wheat unchanged at $5.16 3/4. Minneapolis wheat up a penny at $5.73. Kansas City hard red wheat down 1 3/4 at $5.17 even. September oats down 11 cents at $3.39 1/4. On the Merc, August live cattle up 78 cents at $230.90. August feeder cattle up 83 cents at $335.40. August lean hogs up 83 cents at $108.18. August pork cutout unchanged at $115 even. Class 3 milk up 9 cents at $17.29.
That wraps up the closing markets for today and brings us to the end of today's show. You can find all of our content on our website at iowaagnet.com. Don't forget as well to subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can follow us on social media at Facebook and X, and you can listen to our morning, midday, closing market podcast, as well as our daily episodes of our Iowa Ag Matters podcast at Apple, Amazon, Spotify, YouTube, and Podbean. From the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network studios in Des Moines, I'm Mark Magnuson. For Riley Smith, Ashton Jolly, Dustin Huffman, and Andy Peterson, we thank you for watching. This has been Ag Matters PM.